Hi guys, sorry if this video is a bit shaky. I don't have my selfie stick and I'm out and about, so can't really do anything about it. I know the last one was. Anyway, yeah, so having kind of a mad time at the moment, and it's been interesting. A week or so ago was our anniversary, me and my girlfriend, and on a Thursday we've been like kind of fighting a bit. It's been a kind of weird time between us, not totally bad, but we've sort of been like a bit unhappy with each other about certain things and at loggerheads, as they say. And on the Thursday we had an alright day, you know, and we took our dog Luna out for a walk, had a lovely walk in the mountains, and it was alright. Like, on paper, good day, you know, we hung out, we had nice food, took the dog out, everything was fine. We were both still a little bit depressed, you know, about these problems we couldn't resolve and just various other things in our life we're not satisfied with and whatever. But fine. And we went to bed. And I woke up about 6 a.m. and I heard this scratching sound. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I could hear the dog's paws scratching on the wood floors. And it's a bit of a thing, you know, because like she sleeps out in the living room and they're like tiled wood floors and it's really loud, her claws on the floor. And I was thinking, that's weird, like, why is she, you know, making so much noise? And then it sort of stopped for a second. I was like, all right, back to sleep, whatever. And then it started again, and I started getting angry. I was thinking, what the fuck is this dog doing, man? Like, why'd you keep doing this? You know, I'm trying to sleep. And so I got up to go and be like, you know, Luna, shut the fuck up, I'm sleeping. And then as I was getting up, I was thinking, no, this isn't normal. Like, I was hearing this scratching sound. It was like crazy. So much of, you know, normally you hear it a little bit when she gets up. Not like this. This was continuous. And I walked in and I looked at my dog and she was like unrecognizable. She was tangled up like a fucking pretzel, man. Like, it was crazy. She had fully lost the use of her back legs. They were just dangling. They were like on the floor, just limp, kind of crossed over one another, like completely dead. It was really disconcerting. Like, they were just dead. And she was frantically trying to drag herself from the floor over to her bed. And she was like in a right state, you know, she was really worked up. And I was calling my girlfriend in as I got in. I was like, you know, Tara, come in. And the dog was happy to see us, but also freaking out. But she was clearly very relieved that we had come in, and it was horrifying. It was horrifying to see this. She was trying to drag herself, and her front paws, and, you know, like, and she's a big dog, you know, and it was just truly disturbing. And we got her and we moved her over to the bed, and we were like trying to stop her, you know, like sort of pinning her down so she couldn't try and get up and move and make it worse. And then we were just thinking, man, what the fuck? I'm gonna have to hold this camera a bit lower, by the way, at a slightly dodgy angle, because it's killing my arm to hold it out straight like that. And we were just thinking, man, what the fuck, you know, like, we got her to calm down. And then we were like, what has happened? Because a couple of weeks prior she had done the splits on her back legs, so we thought maybe it's that. What's going on, you know, something wrong with her brain, like, why has this happened? Really, really, really disturbing. I don't know, man. And, you know, we really love this dog, and I know everyone loves their dog. We really love her. I can't I'll say, look, there's people who love their dog as much as we love her, but there's not people who love their dog more, you know. Like, we love her as much as you could love a dog. She's like our daughter. She's like our baby. Like, we just love her so much. So it was so disturbing to see this. Anyway, sat there wondering what to do. We leave her at home for a little bit to like settle, you know, so we can give her a bit of food and we can. And then we're like, right, we've got to take her to the vet, and we're thinking of waiting till 10:30 to take her to our vet nearby. which we're thinking, how the fuck are we going to get her there, because it's like a 20-minute walk, and we didn't want to move her because we didn't want to hurt her more. And then in the end, we're googling stuff, we're looking up what it could be, and we're like, no, fuck this, man, she has to go to an emergency vet, like, this is really bad. And we were gonna take her to the emergency vet in our town, and then we were like, they're just dodgy in there. They try to fleece you for extra stuff. There's a lot of really disturbing reviews. My girlfriend knows someone who did an internship there, and she said she was really horrified by how they treated the animals when the owners weren't there. So we were like, no, fuck that. So we decided to go to one much further away. Problem is, I don't drive yet. I failed my test. This happened 4 days after I failed my test, like a fucking idiot. I didn't even fail it for a valid reason. I failed it for a fucking you know what reason. And it was my fault, I should clarify. I just mean that it's not because I'm not a good driver, it's because I freaked out on the test and did something really stupid that I would never normally do. Anyway, so I failed my tests, and you know, I don't drive, I don't have a car or anything. So we got to get to this place. So we finally get a taxi to agree to take her. We're calling up all these different taxi companies. And the taxi gets there, I'm having to pick the dog up and carry her down the stairs. She's frantically trying to get out my arms. She hates being picked up. She's like howling and yelping and shit. And it's just really like unbelievably stressful. I can't even explain how stressful. And we get her downstairs, get to the taxi. He's waiting across the road. And he's like, no, she can't come. And we're like, dude, you fucking said the dog could come. And he's like, yeah, but she's a big dog with lots of hair. And I'm like, dude, I fucking swear, man, you're taking the dog. Like, I was getting ready to fight. I was just like, no, like, she's coming. And he was like, fine, she has to go in the boot. And I was like, man, she can't go in the boot. She has to be on the seat with us because she freaks out. You know, if we put her in the boot, I was worried she'd injure herself more. Started arguing about that. Eventually, we came to a compromise. We put the seats down in the back so I could reach over and touch her and pet her so that she was calm. And the whole ride there, it's like we're watching the meter go up on the cab, and it's going up to like 30 euros, 40 euros. We're like, fucking hell, like, because we know we're going to have to get back as well. And of course, not to mention, we're going to have to pay once we get there. And the shit's going up, and then we're in the cab thinking, yesterday everything was normal. We had a lovely walk with the dog. She was fine. And now she can't move her legs. She's got almost no sensation in them. One of them, normally if you touch her paws, she goes berserk. She wasn't reacting, you know? And we're in the cab. My girlfriend's like crying, and I open the windows and the hair is flying all over the place. And the guy's getting it in his mouth and shit, because Luna happens to be shedding at this time. So she's losing so much hair. It's going everywhere, and the guy's like picking it off him, and it's in his face and shit, and he's like, and then Tara's just sobbing, and I could see him glancing over at Tara, and he was starting to feel sorry for us, you know, because he was seeing how upset she was. And we're just sat like such a long journey, and we're just like waiting, like, man, it's just one of those, you know, you're just like, you just got to kind of bear it. You just have to sort of tolerate it. There's nothing you can do. You just sat there like, man. We both had to cancel work, and that was very expensive for both of us in terms of like targets and things, and just it cost us a lot of money basically, and was very awkward to cancel work at such short notice. And we're heading to this vet anyway, and we get there and we get in, and fucking horrible dogs in there, man, and like shitty owners, and we're in the waiting room, and then we run through, and we're like, look, can we just put her in the vet room while we wait for the vet? We get there. The driver was nice in the end. He was cool about it. I said, you know, we'll help you clean it up, and he was like, no, just go. So he was cool, man. It was nice of him to do that, because he obviously, you know, I understand why it was a problem for him. And we this angle is fucking brutal, man. A fucking goblin, just because of the angle. That's the only reason. Yeah, So we get there and get her into the room, waiting for the vet. She comes in and looks at her and is like, "Poor, this, looks really bad. We're going to wait a few hours because you fed her." I didn't actually want to feed her, so I felt, it was probably a bad idea to feed her when she was injured. But anyway, she said, "Because you fed her, we have to wait a few hours before we put her asleep for the MRI." We're like, "Okay." They're like, "So we'll put her asleep, we'll give her an MRI. That's going to cost you like €500. And then we'll see from there, but it looks like she's probably going to need surgery. If she needs surgery, we'll do it here. That'll be €1,850. Now, I must say, I understand that in other countries, like the UK or the USA, this would cost infinitely more. So I'm very grateful for that. The veterinary care here is cheap. But, we don't have that much money. So to pay $500 and to be told you might pay another $1,850, and you've also had to miss work, and you've paid for the cab, and you're going to have to pay for the cab again, and probably going to have to pay for medication, and going to have to pay for physiotherapy and all of this shit. We're thinking, okay, so basically say goodbye to savings and, whatever. And it's just devastating. The dog's like freaking out on the floor, man. She's like a fish, like writhing around on the floor. She can't move her legs. She's flipping out, but she doesn't understand. She's already quite a neurotic dog, and now she's just going haywire. She just cannot handle this, and we're trying so hard to calm her down. There's nothing you can do. So you're ending up just like, we're just like pinning her to the floor and shit, and stopping her from hurting herself. It was a total nightmare, and we had to sit in there and wait hours, just sat on the floor, just in this empty room, just sitting there, nothing to do. You don't want to do it. Normally when you're bored, you go on your phone, or it's like, I don't want to look at anything. I don't want to think about anything. I just don't want this to be, I just want this experience to disappear. And eventually she goes in for the MRI, and it's like so hard to leave her, man, because like she was caged as a puppy, and she was obviously abused. And she's very, very, very traumatized by cages. So if anything looks like a cage, like for example, those kinds of fences over there, I don't know if you can see behind that car, the metal fence, like if she walks past stuff like that, she gets really weird and she won't go near it. And sometimes she tries to like run into traffic just to get away from something that looks like a cage. And on bridges with those sort of barriers on them, she's really, really odd. And she doesn't like being constricted, or she's very claustrophobic, she clearly was in a cage for a good 6 months to a year at the beginning of her life. And so, because she was farmed, and so to us, to put her in a cage is like really fucking difficult. And we had to take her upstairs. They put her in a thing, and they're like, "Don't worry, we'll watch her." And we're like, "Yeah, it doesn't really look like it," because she's sort of flipping out and cutting herself on the walls of the cage and going crazy, and like she's just so upset to be put in there, and she keeps trying to stand. And I don't know, man, we've never had to do that to her before, and like she really trusts us, and we had to put her in there and just walk off. And it was I don't know, it was brutal. And they said, "We're going to put her to sleep in a minute, so don't worry," and whatever. And we left, and as we left, we turned around to look. These are the kind of things I'm talking about, by the way, that she hates. And as we left, we turned around to look, and she was looking at us. And I just can't get the image out of my head. She was just so upset. She was like howling and whimpering. And we're looking over our shoulders, and we're just like sobbing and shit. And like at times during, I noticed some people, it probably sounds crazy to react like this over a dog sort of veterinary issue, but I guess imagine it's a person and it might make more sense, because that's kind of how we feel. And we're a kid, and we're looking over our shoulder, and at times we're like sort of sobbing and shit, and then at other times you just, I don't know, I find during experiences like this, you start to just go numb. You're just like disassociating, you feel yourself just drifting, you're just like, I can't can't deal with this emotionally. Like I can't be in this moment because it's just too difficult. So we were just kind of I don't know, like not really. It's hard to explain, you know. It's a depressing feeling, but you just kind of like you just sort of drown it out. I don't know, and just sort of stare blankly into the distance. And we left her there, and leaving that place was really hard because it was just like, all right, well, we don't know what the fuck's going to happen. We don't know what they're going to find. We don't know how she's going to be. We don't even know if she'll survive anesthesia. We don't know if she's ever had it before. We don't know. You know, it just felt crazy. It felt like, you know, abandoning our baby or whatever. And we went off, and they said to us, the earliest this was at like 2, they said 1 or 2. They said the earliest we'll have the results will be 5 or 6. That would be like very early. So we went off and we just started walking around. And the area we were in, we started thinking, oh, it's kind of like quite nice here. And it was like we said at the time, it would have been an oddly sort of nice little holiday had it not been for the dog and the situation she was in. We started to think, oh, this is weird. It's kind of a nice place, and we quite liked it. And we're thinking, oh, it'd be kind of nice to live here, you know? It's so quiet. There's like no one around, which we really like. And it's nice and flat, and we're thinking, God, the dog would love it here. And yeah, we start to think, oh, that's interesting. We're joking about it, like, oh, maybe we should live here. It's the kind of place a lot of people would consider a bit of a dump, but it's like perfectly suited for us and the dog. Anyway, we passed the time, we waited, we just walked around doing like nothing. We're thinking, man, like, how do you pass this time? You know, how do you just, as I say, just willing the hours to go by. And then we get back in touch, and they're like, they said they'd tell us when she wakes up, and we'll go there and we're waiting, and they said, yeah, she's awake. We've done the scan, but we don't have all of it. We've only got some of the information or something. And they said she's awake, you can come and see her. And we went to see her, and she just was going mental, trying to get out of the cage. And it was horrible to see her like that. She was going berserk. And then they said she can't leave because if she can't piss on her own, she can't leave. So we said, look, because basically, after seeing, when we left her in there the first time, I was saying to my girlfriend, look, I cannot have, she has to have some dignity. Like, if she's going to die or something, she can't die in a place like this. She has to be at home with us. And I just had this impulse, like, she just has to be at home. And like, even if that meant minimizing the sort of diagnostic efforts, I just was desperate for her to be with us, you know. And I'm not saying that was correct, but that was just the feeling at the time. And so they said, yeah, we've got some of the info, you come and see us. So we went to see her, and then they said, yeah, if you can get her to piss and she can walk around by herself, then she can go home with you now, and we'll phone you with the results. And we were like, all right. So we wrap a blanket under her and start, I carry her down the stairs, and we put a blanket under her back legs, so you're hoisting her up, you know, like it was a towel, and we held it from both sides so that she's held up like a wheelbarrow, kind of, so that she doesn't have to walk with her back legs. And we take her outside and take her to this lawn, and we're walking her around and seeing if she can piss. And she wouldn't go for a piss, and we're like desperate for her to piss because we just so badly want to get her home and just continue the treatment elsewhere, or another day, or when we've got more time, or, you know, like, so that she doesn't have to be locked in a cage, basically. And we take her outside, and then she starts walking on the front legs, not on her back legs. Her back legs are hanging completely limp, knuckles dragging like this, like backwards, and just dragging along the floor. And we're looking at them, and it's like, oh God. And one of them is moving a little bit like this, and it was disturbing to see. And we're holding her up with a towel, and everyone's staring at us. And then she starts kind of running on her front paws, like really frantically. So we're like, oh, okay, and we're sort of following her, thinking maybe she wants to go somewhere, maybe she's going to piss. And then she starts running faster and faster and faster, and then she just collapses and hits the floor and is like howling and whimpering and yelping. And we're like, oh my God. And she's lying on her side and she's like writhing around and trying to get up and freaking out. And we're like, okay, we've completely fucked her then, you know, we've made this injury worse, obviously. And now she's going into complete like spasm and this is our fault and what the fuck, you know. And we wait there with her for a bit and then we take her back up to the vets and we're like, well, she couldn't piss, we need her to be indoors because we think, you know, she might be worse. And they were like, all right, next step is to give her medication, anti-inflammatories, keep her here and see how she responds. And if she responds to the anti-inflammatories, then we'll see. And if she doesn't, then she needs further scans on Monday. And at this point, it's Saturday. And so we're thinking, all right, no choice. To us, it was unfathomable to leave her in that place. But at this point, we just thought, there's no choice. That's all we can do. So then we leave her again. And the second time we left her, you could see she was fucking pissed that we were leaving her there. And it felt horrible to do. And we left and we just thought, all right, well, let's just walk around town more and, you know, look at the place and maybe it will be a nice place to live with her and maybe we should check it out more and, you know, maybe we can live here or whatever. So we start just using it as an opportunity to explore. And then we realise, okay, if we go home and then come back tomorrow, it's going to cost more than if we stay in a hotel. So I cancelled, because I work Saturdays as well, I cancelled work on Saturday, which again is like difficult to do. And we find a hotel, like a bed and breakfast kind of thing. And I'm just going to sit down because this is fucking exhausting. I was just before I started filming this, I was having some of these spiced glazed biscuits from Lidl. If you've got a Lidl near you, fucking get some of these, man, they're incredible. I'm kind of tempted to have another one, but oh, go on, you know what, why not? I'll have half. Sorry, not a good video, sorry. I was going to say not very professional, but I don't make any money from this anyway, so fuck you. I'll eat my biscuits. This is why I don't make any money from them, you know? No. Yeah. So, we leave it there, we're walking around, we go to this hotel, I'm thinking, this is going to be the worst night ever. Staying in some hotel, away from home, nothing to do, wondering what the fuck's happening with our dog. We phone them and they're like, yeah, we've got her to piss for a catheter, but she still can't move. Oh, you have to wait and see tomorrow. Next day, same thing, we end up extending in the hotel again. So we stayed in the hotel on Friday night and we ended up staying on Saturday as well. And we're growing to really like this place and we're thinking, this is weird, it's like the dog brought us here almost, you know. And the guy who runs the bed and breakfast is like really nice, and he said, if there's anything you want, you know, let me know, I can give you guys a lift back to where you live and all of this. And it was like so nice, man, really, really, really nice chap. And so we're there, and again, it was like at times oddly fun, like we're laughing about stuff and then going back to being really miserable. And then, like, you know, getting food to eat at the hotel and, like, you know, buying food from the supermarket and bringing it back and watching TV on my phone. And, like, some of it was sort of oddly fun. Like, I don't know, it was sort of like, we started going to this, there's this little beach and there's this bridge over the beach. And we started going to this beach and just praying every day. Fucking absolute monster of a dog over there on the office leader. So, I don't know if you can see it. Jesus Christ. Nasty. It should not be off its lead in a space like this. That's fucking terrible. I want to say something, but I don't want to get into a fucking confrontation with the guy while he's got the dog off his lead. That is terrible, man. That is disgraceful. That is fucking bad. Hi guys, I'm back. I'm back and bolder than ever. I got a bit distracted by that dog, so I continued the video, but it wasn't very good. And then a few days have passed. Stop licking the bed, Luna. Stop it. And so I thought I'll just continue the video from where I left off before the dog. It was massive. It looked like one of those dogs that's been banned in the UK. It was just obviously like next to a children's thing, and not in a park even. You know, it's one thing to do it in a park. I don't personally agree with that, but in a place like that, it's not even a place for dogs. You know, it's mad. Just intact, not neutered. Crazy, but I know people have differing opinions on that. Check out my previous video if you'd like to know my take on it. Sorry for this kind of obnoxious stance, me lying down with all the mess in the background. That's all. Sorry, I don't have an explanation, really, an excuse, nor do I need one. Yeah, so we started going to this bridge every day and praying multiple times a day. We would pray, and we'd go to church as well, and we were getting very religious about the whole thing, I guess. Praying a lot and trying to think of things we had done wrong, and trying to think of, if anything, what this meant. And, you know, because sometimes you don't have much else to do in these situations, and we certainly didn't. There was nothing else we could have been getting on with. So we were praying multiple times a day, and we kept going to this bridge, and it was nice. It was a really nice bridge. And we grew more and more attached to this place. And it was very peaceful and serene outside, and there was like no one around, and it was quite nice weather, and we would just go and pray and close our eyes and listen to the ocean and you know, sort of pray that Luna would get better. And one night we were waiting to hear back from them / trying to get hold of them. I had called them in the morning very early, and I said, okay, you know, they said there's not really any news, and I said, all right, well, I'm going to call again at about 6 and call again at about 10, if that's all right, just so we can kind of get, you know, updates throughout the day. And she said, yeah, sure. Couldn't get hold of them all day, and we were very worried about this, you know. We were trying to ignore it, and the whole time we kept thinking, what's going on with her in there? And we went out, and one of the times I called them, I had quite an evasive person on the phone who seemed a bit like, it was a bit weird. I started to get paranoid, like something's happened and they don't want to say because they're too busy, because they were clearly very busy. And the logical part of me knew they're just busy. They just can't deal with it right now. That, you know, they've got more important things to do than give us a pointless update. But another part of me was saying maybe they're too busy to tell us that she's dead, you know, that she had a bad reaction to the medication, or she's had a heart attack, or they've done something wrong, or, you know. And so we went out that night, and we were walking around, and it was still light out, and we looked up, and the moon in the sky was just like massive. Like, I've never seen the moon like this before. Neither of us had ever seen, before or since, the moon anywhere near this big in the sky. It was crazy. And Luna, of course, means moon in Spanish, right? And we've always associated her with the moon. And I know this is a bit, you know, like woo-woo or whatever, but you know, whatever. We saw the moon in the sky, and it was huge. It was absolutely huge. And because it was light out still, it was so clear, and you could see every detail on it. You could see all the craters. And we were just in disbelief looking at it. We were walking home, we couldn't contact her, and we were so worried. And then we just saw this in the sky, and Tara took it as a positive sign, and I did, ostensibly, but inside I was paranoid again. I was nervous. I was thinking I got bad feelings, like ominous or something. It's like her saying goodbye or something, or her calling out, saying she needs us, you know. But outwardly I said, this is her, you know, she's strong. It's a sign, she's strong. She's stronger and brighter than ever and all of this. And got home, kept trying to ring them. You know, we had a nice dinner prepared for that night, and we just couldn't really eat or enjoy it because we couldn't get hold of them. No one would answer the phone. We had no idea what was going on with her. It was not nice, basically. We went to bed thinking, oh God, and I kept saying to Tara, just be reasonable, they're obviously just busy, but inside I was thinking, man, what if she's fucking dead, you know, and getting really freaked out. The next morning we woke up at about 8 and just feeling like shit and thinking, still no contact from them, this is really bad that they haven't contacted us, what the fuck is going on? So we straight away got up, started getting ready to walk down there. We're on the way there, just miserable. And halfway there, I look at my phone, I turn mobile data on, and I get WhatsApps from them. And I'm like, oh my God, I get so nervous. I look at the WhatsApps, and one of them is a video of her, and they've got a towel under her back end, and she's walking, barely, but she's walking, she's moving her legs, and, you know, walking with assistance. So she topples over at one point in the video, which is a bit disturbing, but she was walking, she was using her legs, she was moving them both in tandem. Stop licking the bed, Luna, in tandem with one another. And it was incredible. It was incredible to see that. We were just ecstatic, like we were giddy, we were like shaking with excitement, like jumping on the spot, you know, like we immediately ran to the vets. We were just so, it just filled us with so much pride, so much happiness to see, in our minds, you know, she felt we had abandoned her. She was on her own, and she was in an unfamiliar environment, and she was afraid, and she didn't know what had happened to her, and she was confused. You know, we can be told, a doctor can tell us what's wrong with us. They can't. It's just confusing for them. And yet still there she was, like improving, you know, walking, trying to walk, showing that spirit to try and get better. And we were just so happy. And when we first got there to see her, she seemed kind of pissed. Like, she didn't immediately react. She had a moment where she was just like, you fucking, what are you doing here, you know? And then she suddenly became like very happy to see us. But it wasn't the same, it wasn't as emphatic, to be honest. Like, she seemed to, and I know you can anthropomorphize dogs, right? People do it all the time, and it can be stupid, but it seemed to us like she was genuinely a bit pissed off because she really felt, because she just saw us walk away. She didn't see us get in. You almost want them to like forcibly remove you from the room so the dog thinks you've been, you know, because it just looks like we're just like, all right, bye, leaving you here, we don't want to be with you. And if a dog abandoned another dog, you would assume that they're very social animals. They would understand that, and they'd think, fuck you, you left me here. You know, you left me here to fight these other dogs, or you know, they have a social system of checks and balances, and they keep each other in line and shit. So, yeah, I think she felt we'd abandoned her and she was pissed off. But anyway, after a while, she was very happy. She was very happy to see us. And they said, if you can get her to piss again, then you can take her home. And it took a long time, but we did. We got her outside on that lawn again, and we got her to piss. I don't know, I haven't seen the previous video. I don't know exactly how much, if I'm adding details I've already said or I missed stuff out. Anyway, sorry, might be completely incoherent, but yeah, you know. And so, yeah, we got her to piss, and it was incredible. It took a while. It took a pretty long time, and it's so precarious when you've got a dog there who's a bit defensive with other dogs and very big, and her back legs don't work, and she's freaked out, and you're in this tiny little lawn, and there's just normal people around, and people coming to bring their dogs for a piss, and you're just sitting there like guarding her like she's a baby. You know, it was like kind of weird. And in some ways more vulnerable than a baby, because a baby you just put here and scoop up in your arms and they're safe, but you can't, I mean, you can do that with her, sort of, but yeah. So anyway, the hotel guy was so nice, he gave us a lift back, and she was freaking out the whole journey home, but we got her home, and at first she was very like, you know, like super nervous and weird and quiet and insecure and everything. And my girlfriend was upset by this, but I was just like, I'm so happy to have her home. She'll be fine, you know, she's just adjusting. She's traumatized. I mean, literally, it's more traumatizing, I think, for them than it would be for us in a way, because as I say, no one can explain it to them. They don't understand what's happening to them. So I think she was just traumatized by it, especially having had the background that she has. But anyway, the feeling was just to see her make that improvement, to have faced the possibility of her never walking again or dying, and to see her make that improvement and to have her home felt so good. And it reminded us of how ungrateful we were. We just realized we were just so ungrateful before. We're so ungrateful for our life, and we had everything we needed. And it takes losing something so important to realize that, and I don't know why it always does. But I just said to myself, man, I'm just going to enjoy having her home so much. And that was just it wasn't just the beginning, but the situation is still ongoing. Here she is now. She's making huge progress. Our apartment isn't normally like this, by the way. We're not absolute pigs. It's just been such a crazy period. It's crazy. It's almost impossible to manage. But basically, we live on the 5th floor. There's no elevator. She's a heavy, big dog. She does not like being picked up. She keeps trying to fucking kill me, pushing off the wall so I like fall down the stairs. It's crazy. Every time she goes for a piss, it's a huge ordeal. And one of us has to monitor her constantly so she doesn't injure herself getting up and trying to walk on these wood floors. And we're waking up all the time, constantly throughout the night. It's like having a baby, because she has to sleep in our room now, and it's a very small room, and she just keeps getting up to adjust herself, and we have to make sure that she's not re-injuring herself when she gets up. So it's a constant process of like, she just needs constant support. Luckily we both work from home, but we're having to keep alternating, and like, but it's been nice, honestly. Like when you have that reminder, it's like, I'm so happy to do all of this. I'm happy to be sleep deprived. I'm happy to just be with her. I'm happy to just spend time together. And of course, she would love to walk. She would love to run around. I would love to do that with her, but we can't. But we're able to pet her and feed her and keep her company, and that's really what matters. And she's getting better, and I just feel so grateful and annoyed that I didn't feel this way before. And I know that it's possible to feel this way without a disaster. It's possible to just feel this way, and we should just feel this way. It's better. But it's hard. You just get complacent. I felt it sometimes already. This has now been today is 2 weeks. Today is 2 weeks since she got injured, and 12 days since she came home. And you know, there's times you feel yourself get complacent again, and I'm starting to argue with my girlfriend about stuff, and I'm like, fuck this is bullshit. And then I'm like, man, fucking, you know, who knows what's around the corner? Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Who knows what disaster might happen? While you're here, you've got your family, you've got your loved ones. Like, there's no other sane choice other than to really try and appreciate it. And that's not to say you shouldn't try to improve it or that you can't have any negative emotions, but it's so dumb to not appreciate it fully. And I keep trying to keep that in mind, make it a permanent fixture, you know, like just to spend the night watching TV with the dog. It's so good. It's so good. Like, I was watching an interview with that guy Gabor Mate the other day, and he was talking about someone he met who had a brain tumor,
who said it was like the greatest blessing of their life, and part of that was because every time he had a conversation with someone, he felt it might be the last time he ever spoke to them, and he listened so closely and he took it all in. And sometimes these situations do give you this enormous presence of mind that is so hard to have on a day-to-day basis, or at least maybe it's not so hard, but we so rarely do have on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, we've had a lot of setbacks since this began. She came back with a lot of cuts all over her from the cage, and that's been a thing. And lots of little things keep happening that are just making it even more complicated. The other day we had to take her to the vet. We looked at her vagina and they'd sutures, like stitching in her vaginas. It was alarming when I saw it. It was purple and like so much of it, really knotted up. And I was trying to call them, I couldn't get through them. I was like, why did you do this? Like, what happened to her vagina? And they were like, we don't know, the vet's not here. And I had to wait for a call back. Then we're calling our vet, like, look, our dog's got stitches in her vagina from the emergency vet. Is this an emergency? And we thought it looked like it had pus on it. Sorry if this is really disgusting, but it looked like it had pus on it. And we didn't know what to do. We thought, if she gets an infection in her vagina, imagine we go through all of this money, all of this drama, all of this rehab, and it sounds like a weird rap song, and she dies from an infection in her vagina, you know. So we had to rush her to the vet. We had to both leave work, which was a disaster, a huge disaster. I mean, I really sympathise with people who have like pets and babies at the same time and stuff. I don't know how you do it. It's worse that we haven't got any family around either. You know, there's no one around who can help with anything. And we had to take her to the vet. We had to walk her there, the longest she's walked. And it was like, you know, it was like 20 minutes each way. And at times I was having to pick her up. And it was, waited ages there, missed so much work. But even then we're saying, this is nothing, you know, just, this is nice. This is nice in comparison to what we were facing. This is nice, you know? Like, we're with her, we're okay, we're going to go back to work, we've got food at home, she's all right, probably, we're dealing with it, so if she's not all right, it's going to be dealt with now anyway, it's okay. And then they snipped it out and they charged us €18. Incredible. Our local vet is so good, man. I absolutely love them. They're so good. I'm sad that we're going to be leaving them. They really are good. And yeah, it was €18 and we thought, fuck it, it's great. That's good. You know, it cost fuck all. We took her home, but then we were taking her home and she's scraping her claws a lot. So she cut the quick and it was bleeding everywhere. And when we got her home, we realised there's like blood all over the floors and the stairs and my clothes and shit, because her quick was just bleeding so much. And then we had to deal with that. And then and then the other day, I woke up in the morning and she was doing her usual thing, shuffling around. It was like 6 a.m. I could barely see anything. And I went to go and turn her. She was acting really weird. I could barely see and I was all bleary and shit. And she was all fucked up. And I was like, what's going on? I'm getting a bit freaked out thinking she had an injury. And then she was acting really funny and I couldn't get hold of her and she was in the corner of the bed. And I was like, what are these little pieces of fabric on her bed? And I went to pick one of these pieces of fabric up and I looked at it and it was just a turd. And it was, I just had one of her turds in my hand. And I was like, oh God, and just dropped the turd. I don't think I dropped it, actually. I think I got Tara to go and get a bag. And was like, oh no. And then there was like shit on me. And I realized when I tried to pick her up, I'd squeezed her stomach and shit had come out. Because, you know, she's not got that much control. Well, she has, seemingly, normally, she has complete control of her bowels. She just decided on this one particular morning to do a shit on the bed. And, yeah, shat on the bed. That was bad. We had to clean it and everything, and I had shit all over me. And a lot of just things waking us up. And we can't sleep with earplugs in anymore, so we're suddenly realising how fucking loud our neighbour is in the morning at like 5 a.m. I think she's like a bit deaf, because we spoke to her once and she's so loud. So we're waking up to her every morning. and I fucked up Luna's medication as well, which was fine. Nothing happened, but it was a huge disaster on my part. It was terrible. It was I was not paying attention at all. It was a disaster. I gave her like a lot. I gave her more than she should have had for a couple of days, and that was really stupid. But she's fine. She was fine in the end. And there's been all these setbacks and stuff, but every time in the end we just come back to like, it's so good that she's better, and we're so lucky to have each other. And it won't last forever, you know. We're all gonna, the way she was, you know, we're probably all gonna end up in some respect like that, and then die. And there's no sense in doing anything other than trying to appreciate and enjoy it while it lasts. So I have no idea how long it will last, and you know, it ends. Dogs don't live that long, I know that, apart from Bobby, world's oldest dog. Rest in peace, Bobby, 32, older than me. Absolute legend. Bobby, not myself, older than me, the absolute legend. Yeah, no, but yeah, you know, it all goes away one day, and no choice but to enjoy it. So not to tell anyone what to do, because it's obnoxious, but you know, I told my brother, you know, he said, is there anything we can do to help? And I just said, man, just give your dogs a fucking hug, and your wife, man, like, just please have the perspective that I only have now and wish I had before. Please just have it. Just try and have that. Just go in and feel how good it is to be with your family, and how important they are to you. Try and feel that and appreciate it. And I guess I would not advise, not suggest, not order, just float the idea of anyone watching to do that. And of course, I know it's not, you know, some people live in disastrous situations, you can't always do that, but if you can, if there's any possibility, please try, you know, and just appreciate, if you have it, your health and the health of your loved ones. And maybe they don't all have it, but appreciate the health of the ones that do, if you can, not because you have a moral obligation to do so, just because it feels good and it makes life better. And yeah, that's all. And from a practical point of view, I wish we'd been more proactive, because she had a funny hip that used to splay outwards when she sat, and I wish we'd strengthened it sooner. We did try, but the massage is working enormously well, and just keeping her movement very minimal is working. So I'll, you know, fingers crossed, I'll update people on recovery. I'll have put relevant video. I guess I will have already put the video on the screen. The video is all a bit fucked up, sorry, because the other half of it was bad, so I'm doing it now. But anyway, yeah, it's an important message I wanted to share. I probably haven't shared it very well, but thanks for watching. Hope you're all doing well and healthy. Take care.